Hey, Courtney, Alex.
Hello, how are you guys?
Doing well, thank you. We see each other today again, right?
I know. See a lot of each other in the next couple of weeks.
Right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Alex, will you just give us a heads and we can get going? I can't see how many people in the participants.
Yeah, we have a few people here already, but maybe give it like 2 minutes for anyone that might
Okay.
be running behind.
All right, perfect.
What's the weather like for you today?
Actually, we're in Atlanta, and Atlanta's actually pretty good. We had the snowstorm that happened last couple of weeks, but
Mhm.
we're back in like the 50s, 60s, 70s. We're not 70s yet, but 50s and 60s. So happy about that. And then I think I mentioned I'm going to be in Dallas the next couple of days, and then
Yep.
San Diego right after that. And San Diego is just consistently nice. So I'm excited
Yep.
about being out there.
Good deal. Well, we are back up into I think we're back up into the 70s today. We had our little cold spell. Yeah, it's 75 here right now. Feels like 77. So,
Oh, nice, nice.
yeah.
Where are you? Where exactly are you?
Orlando, Windermere, Florida.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah,
So.
yeah. Florida's always nice. Okay. Yep, I'll get going here. Looks like we've got some folks that are watching. Guys,
And
feel,
before you start, Alvin, just real quick, anyone who is in the webinar, if you have a question at any point, we do have the Q&A box open. So just submit it in there, and I'm reading those questions, and I'll either answer it right there in the chat or bring it up to Alvin and Courtney to cover on the call.
all right, perfect. Well, guys, I'm going to kick it off. My name is Alvin Shah. I am one of the managing partners here at First Option Mortgage. We're a 20-some-year-old mortgage company. We're based out of Atlanta, Georgia, but we've got a nationwide presence. So we've got offices around the country. Licensed in 39 states. I want to say we've got actual physical people in 17 states. And just excited about 2026 and the growth that this year is going to bring for us, especially with our platform. One of the things that really excites me about what we're doing today is just the change in the mortgage industry, right? I feel like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever you would talk about mortgages, it was always about products and bankers and just different types of lenders and investors. And today, that conversation has shifted from just banking over to technology. And those of us that are actually going to be, getting ahead of that technology and really using that technology are going to be super successful over the next several years. And that's one of the things that we want to do as an organization is bring value to the community by introducing the different forms of technology that we're using and hopefully, with the intention that, you guys start using some of this technology as well. And hopefully, if it's with First Option, that's even better, right, for me. But that said, we plan on doing these webinars monthly. And as part of the value add we're bringing people within the industry to talk with you and experience people that are really well known within the community to show you guys demonstrations of the products and just talk through how we're using it as a company ourselves and what the vision is for some of our partners. And so, first off, I want to thank Courtney for joining us today. She is with MMI. I believe MMI is actually a group of companies within Monitor Base and Bonzo. And so we've always known MMI as those guys and been partners with you guys, I'd say probably at least 5 to 7 years now. And just really excited about the changes you guys have brought and how you've evolved from more than just a data company. And so I'll start off by, kind of handing it over back to Courtney so she can introduce herself and her company.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. And guys, thanks for joining us. Alvin asked me to do his inaugural kickoff to this series, so I'm honored to be a part of that. But yes, I actually have been with MMI for quite some time, and it's been really neat to see the changes. MMI initially started, for those that might know in the industry, as MRE. Our CEO, Ben Tierlink, originally started MRE, and that was more of, mobility real estate. It was when the iPhones were coming out, and you talk about tech, Alvin, and it was, hey, like, I really feel like we could do something here with this texting and, like, with the yard signs and how I connect the real estate agents, and him being one of the top real estate agents in Utah. He said, "All right, I'm going to do it," and that's exactly what he did. And so that initially started back in 2008, and then a few years later, as he was tapping into all the data, he said, "Well, goodness, I could actually, like, this is also another, lane that we could go down, and why not provide this data?" Because people would come to him and say, "Oh, like, I hear you've got this, and can you tell me this?" And so he said, "Well, goodness, I'm going to tell everybody, right?" And so MMI, which is Mobility Market Intelligence, that started back in 2011-ish is when he started adding that into the mix. And so, that's really what MMI was known for quite some time. And then about 3 years ago, we did purchase Bonzo. And Bonzo, of course, is a communication platform, primarily. We purchased those folks because we really wanted to take the best pieces of that and kind of build that into what we built today. And then about a year ago, we purchased Monitor Base. And so that's another layer that we're, bringing into the mix. And so it's really exciting for me because now we are launching what we call MMI One. And so it's one unified platform, and you can use all three aspects. You can use just the one. So it's really up to you. We're designing it to where you've got one place that you can go. You don't have to remember all these different, logins. You don't have to have all these different pieces to your tech stack. And then we also have a consumer facing piece to it as well, with what we created with Pathways Home, and a mobile app, that is, and I don't just mean take it on your phone. I literally mean a new mobile app is on the way as well. So exciting to see how we've evolved. And it's been exciting for me to kind of, do that and walk through. And with my role, I work with all of our departments. So it's really exciting for me because I get to see sales, how they do it, and marketing and product. And so I work directly with our CEO and Ben and leadership. And so it's been fun.
Very nice, very nice. And before we actually get into seeing how some of the dashboards work, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the use cases that we're actually using. Initially, when we got with MMI, a lot of it was just understanding the loan officer data and real estate data. And honestly, we were actually using the real estate data piece of it quite a bit. And something very simple as this, right? When a previous customer lists their home, we're able to go in there and realize that, okay, you know what, it looks like they're going to do something. And it gives us the heads up, right? Being able to get to that customer at the point of them listing their home, allows us to get that next purchase that they're doing. But I'll tell you what, it's more than that, right? It's really more than just being able to get that customer back in your ecosystem. It's really about getting that realtor in your ecosystem. And so something cool that we started doing was that we would take the listing agent who the customer was using, and that may be somebody we know, or maybe somebody we don't know, right? And what we would do is we would then create a mortgage coach presentation for them, and we would take it to that agent. And at that point, this agent, who may not have even known who we are, is really like, wow, what just happened? Like, who are these guys that are already over here with a presentation ready for us to be able to help sell with it? And I think it's a lot of it is just a wow factor, right? It's just thinking forward and thinking ahead and doing something that others are not necessarily doing, just by creating that presentation for them. But that kind of goes to say, hey, look, it's not just about having the one technology that MMI brings, but how MMI works with other technologies as well, and how we're able to integrate and really do more because we've got the power of all of these technologies working together. Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about monitor base, or one of the MMI, or one of the features?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of tag on to what you are talking about now. So let me share my screen, because I know we were going to do a little show and tell.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, so I just need Alex, if you can give me sharing permissions.
I just clicked allow, so hopefully it should be working now.
Nah, here we go. Perfect. All right. So you guys should be seeing my MMI screen, correct?
Yep.
Perfect. So yeah, so let's talk about that, Alvin, right? Let's talk about you've got your book of business, right? And so to your point, you referenced if someone that you had already done business with is going to list their home, right? That's one aspect. I mean, listen, we could come back here every day for the next little bit and show you guys so many things in MMI. But let's talk about the fact that when you have a seat here with us at MMI and MMI 1, as we call it, right? You have the ability that you have your entire book of business follows you. So it is linked to your NMLS ID. It is going back and it's pulling all of those transactions for you. It's showing you all of the agents that you worked with in the past. We are constantly tracking what is happening with that past book of business. So there are many opportunities for you to ensure that you're not losing that customer. You're not losing those relationships with those referral partners either. And so many different ways that we can go about doing that. But I want to really focus this particular conversation today without turning into the golden retriever that's like squirrel, 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 right? We're going to focus it today on that retention business. And so you can see here, I've logged in and I'm going to go right here to where it says My Mortgages. And so if I click on this as a loan officer using MMI today, this is going to pull up for me all of my past properties, all of my past transactions. Now, I want to point out to all of you, let's make sure this is clear. I am not a loan officer. This is not my business. This is a stage demo. And so while we do pull in information, these are not my loans. And so we're certainly showing you an example here, but you can see these are all of my past transactions. This is going to go back, again, depending on how long you've been in the business, it's roughly going to go back. I've seen it go back as far as, 2006, 2007. We're pulling all the public data in. Given, maybe how long you've been in the business, maybe you were, logging under someone else's number at some point because you were on a team, et cetera, et cetera. Just know that if you're not seeing something, that could be why. But I have everything listed here for me. So one of the things that's really great about MMI is that if you are making any kind of move and you are looking to join forces with someone else. One of the things that I would ask is, do you have access to a platform like this? Because you don't have to worry about, is my database going to be recreated? Is it, am I going to lose sight of who was my customer before? You'll always have that with MMI. And so that database will follow you because it follows your NMLS ID. Getting a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of this, I've got Refinder, Prospects, and Winback. So let's talk about that. And if I click on Refinder here, this is going to pull up folks where in my entire book of business, these folks are going to be the ones that we clearly have identified that you are the last loan officer that has been on the deal. So these are active deals, or when I say active deals, meaning you're the active loan officer on this deal. Now, when we are actually initially looking at this report, and I'm just moving our little faces over here, we have a few set criteria points that we've run here with, looking at whatever today's interest rate is today. We're looking at that minimum estimate balance, that required rate improvement. And so this has actually shown me right away in my database, we've looked at, 1,000 people here that came up that they are prime and ready just based on the criteria there. I could do something to improve their current deal, right? So these are folks immediately that, if I'm not taking advantage of this and I'm not communicating with them and trying to really understand where they are, I'm missing the boat, right? Now, you may or may not have 1,000 in your pipeline, But what's neat about this is you can also come over here and you could change the criteria at the top and rerun this report. So you could change this, and while it may not seem like it's the approach that you should do, maybe you want to say, well, show me everybody in my past book of business that had a 4.5 instead, right? Because you might want to look at that in the sense that what is available using, again, our other pieces of our tech stack. So now, if you've got monitor base layered over the top of this, right? Now we're looking at their entire, kind of credit history. And what if I see that, I've got someone that has great equity, but I also see by using that monitor base level on top of this, I also see they've got a car loan that might have a higher interest rate. They might have a couple of credit cards that have a higher interest rate. And maybe there's a chance for me to actually go speak to them as their mortgage advisor and say, hey, there might be opportunities here to do a blended rate, right? Maybe we need to put all this together. Again, maybe you've got someone that you see that they do have a lot of equity in their home, and you know, you might reach out to them and say, hey, have you thought about, what you might be able to do with that? Have you thought about, maybe you've had a conversation in the past where they've talked about maybe renovating or, doing something of that nature. These are things that, you can really bring to the forefront here. You can see that with this, again, I can manipulate this. If we go across here though, let's look at what we're actually seeing here. And I'm not trying to make y'all nauseous here. I'm trying to go a little bit slower. But you've got your original rate, you've got your terms, your mortgage types there, you've got your rate improvement, cash out potentials. These are all the different money moves that you might be able to do, right? You're literally seeing what's their estimated balance, their original mortgage, their current LTVs, how many payments have they made, all of that. So again, you can export this, you could push this over to a CRM if you have this connected. But that is what you're looking at with the Refinder tab specifically. I am going to pause there before I go into win back and prospects and kind of go from there. I just want to pause, see if we did have any questions, Alex, or if there's any questions or comments, Alvin, that you want to make here.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to kind of talk about how we're using the feature as well, right? And so, because there's so much data that's available, whether it's your company's book of business or just the book of business that's just the way what in a given geography, one of the ways that we're able to use is exporting that data and putting it into our CRM, and then after it's gone into the CRM, we are able to send over leads to our loan officers. That might just be 3 to 4 a day. Now, if it's data that doesn't belong to us in that situation, usually what's happening is we're either putting them on some sort of a CRM campaign or making a phone call out. But if it's data that actually belongs to us, being a previous customer, you can even team up with an AI company to actually make the outbound calls and turn around and transfer that lead back to you. And if you think about it, I think where the beauty of this really comes into place is as interest rates start coming down, what naturally happens, right? Naturally, our purchase business picks up because people get off the fence. But those are also the same time frame that refi opportunities are going to be there. And in all honesty, being in this business for as many years as I've been, I've seen where servicers have paid an arm and a leg for these MSRs. So you better believe that they're going to be the first ones to call, right? So if you missed the boat on it, I mean, I think I want to say the retention rate is 20%. And we've got to figure out how to increase that retention rate as an independent mortgage banker, mortgage broker. And so that's where a lot of the power of this data comes in. It's because you become top of mind when you're packaging the data with a CRM and or just using some form of technology to do a nurture and outreach campaign, and now you're able to get that customer before the servicer does.
Yeah. And what's neat too is, we talk about, being first to the plate, right? We want to make sure, it's that making sure that you don't get left behind, right? And making sure that you're retaining that. Again, with the monitor-based piece as well, we have some predictive analytics that are also built into those insights. And so about 90 days out, typically we can also tell what someone is planning to do. So you layer that in with what you already have information on. And now instead of someone else getting ahead of you because later down the way, they somehow got a hold of that lead, right? And now they're kind of, reach out. 90 days out, you already kind of have an idea. So that's when you start doing the outreach. That's when you start making sure that based on some of those analytics and those kind of behavioral, insights, you know what they're going to do. And then additionally, that's a perfect opportunity for us to talk about this as well. So if I go back here to my main list where I've got my transactions right here, our
Courtney,
consumer.
before you even get there, I mean, this really brings up a really good idea. How many of us are chasing down real estate agents and looking for referrals, right? I mean, that's where a lot of our business is coming from. But this flips the script, right? And
Yeah.
imagine if you're able to get to that consumer beforehand and they don't have a real estate agent, and now you're turning around and giving that referral, pre-qualifying them, giving them to the agent. Now you've got a sticky that you've just built with that agent that nobody else can break.
Yeah, 100%. And so our Pathways Home, which is our consumer facing piece, right? So let's pop one of these open here for us to take a look at. And what the Pathways Home is going to allow you to do is, again, this is basically giving your borrower the power to kind of see what their options might be, right? And so this is something that, again, going back to even that relationship with that real estate agent, right? Think about how you could connect because you even can co-brand, you can bring different insights here. But if this is something that I'm sending to my borrower, let's say that I'm closing a new deal, right? This is something I might say to them ahead of time. Now, listen, every quarter or so, I'm going to send you this. It's going to give you updates on what's going on with your home, your equity, where you are, et cetera, et cetera. Again, your homeowner is going to be like, oh, thank you so much. Like, because again, you're educating me, right? And we all know, right, that knowledge is power. So then that homeowner, feels like they're gaining that knowledge and that power because they can see what's happening. Additionally, if you've already got, folks in your ecosystem and let's say you're starting to use MMI today, this is something that I would say, figure out, what cadence you want to do, but I would start sending my existing customers this. I would let them know that I'm going to be sending it to them because what it is going to do is it's going to break down for them a series of different things. Now, I'm going to play this. Let me see one thing here. I want you guys to be able to hear this. So let me see here. I should be able to make sure that I am, maybe not. Where are we? I wanted to, oh, I don't know. I'm not seeing where I can share my voice control. I'm not sure if you guys are going to hear this. We're going to see. Let me know if you can hear this when I play this.
Yep.
I don't think we can hear it, Courtney.
Well, I haven't started.
Property
Oh,
page gives you everything you need
okay,
in
yes,
one
we can.
place. Track your home's current value, search for your next home, explore refinancing options, or see what you could earn by renting out your property with our interactive calculators. All personalized with the latest available data. Here's the current estimated value of your home. This number comes from three key factors: recent sales of similar homes in your neighborhood, your home's specific features, and current market trends in your area. We analyze thousands of data points to give you the most accurate estimate possible. Your property page is updated monthly as new market data comes in, so check back to watch your investment grow. Have questions? Get in touch anytime. You have a long-term partner to help you make the most of your home's potential.
So you guys can see by way of watching that video, right? That's what the homeowner actually gets. And then that homeowner has the ability to, click into whatever they might want to click into here. And let's say that potentially they want to level up. They want to get a new home, right? Or quite frankly, maybe at this point, they're looking at this, they're seeing how much equity they have in their home. They're finally going to be empty nesters and they're like, now we can get our dream home, right? So all of that to say, we also can send you to the home search and our home search page that's also built into this is it's a private home search. So you're not sending someone to Zillow, you're not sending someone to Redfin, right? Where now all that public information, you are the one that is seeing what your customers clicking on, hearting, saving. Again, these are all things that prompt those conversations. So you're ahead of the game, like you said, Alvin, instead of trying to catch up because someone's got your lead and now you're trying to get this back, right? Again, everything branded to you. You do have the ability as well that you get you get all the insights as to what they're clicking into again, so you know how to actually follow up with those folks. So that's just a great tool that's also added to this, just plethora of data on your own database. Again, I mean, we've not even scratched the surface of going out and trying to find new leads, right? Because your database is filled with so many different leads. Um, Pausing right there for a minute before again I jump into win back and prospects. Want to pause for any questions in Alvin or just anything you want to share there.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, one of the things we really, really push for is, when you're an originator, run your business like it's a business. Don't just be an originator. And what that means is that you got to start thinking about scale, right? And so, when I'm sitting here and I'm watching what you're building over here, what I see is, the first 30 minutes of my Monday morning, I'm literally going through my database and I'm picking out what the low-hanging fruit is, and using the data and all of the, I guess, the propensity models that are built into it to really know where my outreach needs to go to, right? And then, shooting out 30 to 50 different messages out there saying, hey, this is what's going on. But what I like more about it is that this isn't just an email, right? A lot of, automation that CRMs have built out are just simple, hey, do something. And how often do we just skip right through that, right? Just the fact that you guys are, the content is so interactive and it's giving them such good information, I think it really opens up people's eyes, and maybe even some that may not have intended to do something, but now realize that they actually can. And then this is where the skill comes in, right? Where, I'm not going to, I'm going to send these messages out, 30 to 50 a week of them. I'm not going to follow up with them. I don't have time for that. That's my team, right? And that's why when you start thinking team structure, whether it's, junior LOs or LOAs that work underneath your team, and you send them off on the chase looking to see where that next prospect deal comes from, right? That is way more powerful than just going to some networking event and hoping that a realtor is going to give you some business. That business is right there in your database, and it's how you prospect it and how you actually use that database to scale and really grow and develop that team that you're looking to develop.
Yeah, 100%. And then, something too, like just, let's say that you did go, to an event though. Let's say that you did meet a few people. Let's say that you did, connect with a real estate agent that, you kind of learned a few things and you decided you wanted to do a few things together. What's really great is you could come over here and you could add an address, right? That will then create one of those property pages, and it might not have been your deal. So you can also use that consumer facing product with that Pathways Home to still connect with new folks that you're working with. Or again, if you are paired with a real estate agent and you guys have a group of folks that you're working with together, and maybe again that buyer, or that borrower is, maybe looking to do something. They've been talking to this real estate agent. You've got this deal now, hey, Susie, real estate agent, I'm going to put together this home, this Pathways Home for you. Go ahead and share that with them. They can learn a little bit about what they've got working with, et cetera, et cetera. And then we can use that for us both to help them move to their next property, right? So again, there's a lot of value add that you can bring to both, both the borrower and the real estate agent that you're working with. So yeah, and then to your point about, using the team, right? So, let's think about this. So I just told you, Refinder, we've identified you're the last loan officer, right? Now, if I click on win back is going to look at my entire book of business. But now this is telling me, guess what? You did not do the last deal with this borrower, right? So technically, Paul here, by the way, or James here, by the way, is not, you didn't get James's next deal. but instead, Paul did, right? You lost that deal. So now if I'm looking to see, well, goodness, what does James, what's going on with James? Like, I wonder if there's room for like another improvement or again, maybe, there's some kind of predictive analytics that is telling me that, James might be getting ready to put his house on the market and buy something else. Or, maybe I look and I see that James might be in, a little bit of hot water with some other high interest rate credit cards over here, right? So now I have the ability to go back in and I can look at those folks that I did a deal for, that I unfortunately did lose the business to someone else. But how do I win that back? Right? How do I go in and attack that? That messaging is going to be different, right? That outbound call is going to be different. That script that, if you are using that AI to help you with that, right, that's going to look a little bit different. But using this information, you can also you can categorize, right? Because you might go through this, you might figure out that in your win backs, you've separated them out based on specific money move options that could probably be, a potential for them. So again, you can segment those folks out. And if you're really strategic in your marketing, then that, that looks different based on how you've kind of segmented out, those new opportunities with your, again, with the folks that you lost out to. So that's, just another approach, another angle. Alvin, I know you probably have some kind of strategy built in there, so I'm going to flip it back to you because I know you're going, yes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, this, you have to be very intentional and strategic when you're using this data, right? And I think, Courtney, you and I talked about this last week when we said, hey, all of it's available, but if there's no execution, then what are we really going to get out of it, right? And so I think that that's where the critical part of all of this is, how do you put this to work for you, right? All of this is great information, but is there a discipline that you have to create and say, hey, I need to do X amount of hours a week in terms of prospecting in my database, right? And then here's what my process looks like, right? Like from this data, when I import into my CRM, what are going to be the next steps? What are going to be my follow-up steps, right? How am I going to retarget these customers? So these are a lot of different questions that you have to ask yourself. Is your tech stack the right tech stack in terms of like, does everything align between MMI and the data you can pull from there? And then, all of the other tools that you're able to use to get the customers back. And even from a workflow standpoint, it's so important to make sure that you've got the right point of sale system that actually works well with all of these integrations. So that in itself right there, and having that plan ready for you is going to bring a ton of value when it comes to like the time to make money and really, really scale your business up. This is great information, guys. And I think that, everybody should be taking some of, a little bit of a nugget home from this information that we're providing. Courtney, did you have anything else in terms of what they've got, or can I wrap it up?
We are on your time frame here. So whenever you are ready to wrap it up, I would just say that, guys, if there is, you know, if there's one thing to say, as Alvin said, you've got to execute, right? The data is only as powerful as you turn around and use it to your benefit, right? And then furthermore, it's also meeting people where they need to be met. So the right messaging, the right time, using the information to really strategically approach your customers, your referral partners, no matter who that is, right? I think the goal, Alvin, is we're going to come back and kind of keep just strategizing, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we'll leave them, just wanting a little bit more, and we'll follow back up next time.
That's 100% right. That's exactly what we want to do. Is we don't want to, overwhelm you with so much information where it's like, oh my God, what do I do with it? We want to keep you guys hungry, coming back for more, right? And so this was just a little glimpse of what is available out there. But as we build out these series, you're going to start seeing how this information relates to, can relate to you, and how you can use this information to actually build out a much bigger and better tech stack, and how that tech stack works together. And we're excited because all the stuff that Courtney and her team are starting to really build out, we're starting to put it into motion at First Option. And so hopefully with some time, we can actually show you guys some real deals, some real statistics in terms of, how we were able to monetize it and how we were able to make money off of it. But more than that, if you're not using MMI, right, like that, this is a great opportunity for you to talk with Courtney and see how you can sign up with MMI. You'll get some follow-up emails from us, which will have all of our contact information, so you can, continue furthering the conversation with her. As I mentioned, this is a big year for First Option in terms of growing our platform. And what we've done is we've done two different things. The first one is that we've, built out a end-to-end tech stack that starts with lead generation and using data and leveraging that data to really, create one experience for you as an originator as well as for your borrower. And for brokers that are out there that are listening, we want to help you scale. And so we've got a broker to banker platform that we're in the process of creating. And so for those conversations, we're going to be here at any given time. Like I said, just look for our follow-up emails and let's schedule some time to talk.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Courtney.
Bye.
All right.